director in the corner.
We'll take a brief commercial.
You thought you were in charge.
Director always is. You too.
Okay.
Good morning. I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Thursday, October 7th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask that you please double check any phones, electronic devices, just make sure they're off or they're on vibrate. This meeting was duly advertised in accordance with the second-class township code in the Lancaster newspaper on December 23rd of 2020. There were no executive sessions held since our last meeting. We did have, on Monday the 4th, we did have interviews here in the building. Those interviews went from approximately, they went from 4:30 until approximately 7:45 in the evening. They were all related to the Director of Community Development and the Zoning and Code Enforcement Officer. Okay, so past meeting minutes for approval, gentlemen. Any changes, alterations?
No, I've got nothing.
I did not have any either. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 16th?
Also moved. I'll second that.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, and that motion carries. Okay, moving on to land planning and engineering.
All right, first one on the agenda today is Mount Zion Baptist Church. As you guys remember, Mount Zion Baptist Church was a plan that had been recommended for conditional approval by the Planning Commission a couple of years ago. Obviously with COVID that hurt the churches especially, and so they recently submitted a time extension to the township. Mike, I think no one from the church had reached out to you.
No, I did. I contacted a couple people from the church as well as the engineer, and they had mentioned that essentially what you said, COVID had set them back in regards to their fundraising and participation. They're now back at the congregation. Fundraising is picking up. They are remaining in that phase of trying to raise the rest of the monies. They're getting close, and their tentative plan is once the funds are raised, they want to complete the land development for the gymnasium expansion, and then maybe phase the worship center construction in about 4 or 5 years. So COVID just put a halt, I guess, to that fundraising efforts to try and cover these costs.
So on September 30th, the township received a time extension offer to extend the deadline for action an additional 120 days. So our recommended motion there would be to accept the written time extension offer as submitted by the applicant's consultant dated September 30th, 2021, which will extend the deadline for action on the Mount Zion Baptist Church final land development plan until February 8th, 2022.
Okay, is there anyone representing that plan here? We didn't expect anybody. Any comments or questions? Okay, I will make the motion to accept the written time extension offer submitted by the applicant's consultant dated September 30th, which will extend the deadline for the action for the final land development plan until February 8th of 2022. Second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
The next item is the crossings at Cocalico, and we do have representatives in participation this morning to represent that plan. They are in the sketch plan phase. They are currently trying to design the site. One of the items that they are requesting is the authorization to utilize concrete slant curbing. Essentially based on the township ordinance, slant curbing can be used if authorized by the township. At the last PC meeting on September 27th, 2021, the Planning Commission did recommend to the board the approval of the use of slant curb. It's just to kind of back up a little bit too. The crossings at Cocalico is a site kind of between Weavers and Old Homestead on the opposing side. It is a village overlay concept, has an apartment tucked in the very back against South River Village, an apartment building tucked towards the road, other mixed uses, townhouses, duplexes, single-family dwellings, just to kind of highlight what type of development it is. So essentially, they're here tonight to discuss the option of utilizing slant curb with you guys. So I'll let you take it from there.
Good morning, Josh Bolton with Pioneer Management. Along with me here today is from Garment Builders, Jason Garman, Brandon Williams, and Matthew Cadwell. Our written request was for slant curb. As Casey mentioned, it is allowable at the discretion of the Board of Supervisors. Our request for slant curbing, the reasoning behind it is slant curbing in these tighter, smaller front yard setback communities. Slant curbing allows a sidewalk that doesn't have to dip at every driveway. Oftentimes, the closer you bring the home, you have a depressed curb because of vertical curb, then you end up having sidewalks that dip at every driveway. In this particular situation, that is our primary concern or reason for asking for slant curb. The alternative or the other concerns that we have are things like it gives a little more flexibility for the builder to have a little narrower home and the driveway moves a foot or two. That way we don't have the curb cuts, it's slant curb. We can kind of adjust according to that without removing curb. We have some additional information or reasons why, but those seem to be the primary reasons for the request. So if the board has any questions, we're here to answer questions. If not,
Will this be laid on top, or will you still take it down to frost, to the frost line?
The included with our request was a slant curb exhibit with the intended slant curb. It is not a slant curb that would meet your ordinance requirement. Typically, or what's in your ordinance right now that from a detail standpoint is very similar to what PennDOT standards are. It's not, it's a very, I'll say, low reveal, meaning like two-inch reveal. That is not a typical slant curb that we see being used across the county for slant curb within residential developments. It's more of a mountable curb used by PennDOT to facilitate possible people having to drive across the curb. We're proposing what we feel is the typical slant curb that is used in residential communities across Lancaster County.
That doesn't make it good, it makes it popular. I came out of a friend's house, and I won't say this, in Denver the other night, and backing out of his driveway, I bounced all around in a high clearance SUV. As long as it's quality, and quality for the homeowner, I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure that is it popular because it's cheap, or is it popular because it's quality?
I think it's very standard to what we do in all of our developments and what we're familiar with.
Slant curb actually could cost us more because you can have more concrete with the width, and I understand it too. But it allows us to have flexibility when we build it, so we're not in there cutting and then trying to rebar and pin stuff. We get one continuous pour, so we won't have to replace sections if something missed.
I was going to say, slant curb has a better aesthetic in the neighborhood as well. It allows some additional maneuverability with this overlay district. We would have to do narrower roads. So the slant curb, it allows vehicles to drive over in the need that there is already, but it's not going to be a frequency that will like I said, we have this and many of the developments that we do, we just don't have issue with decay because it's in our best interest to keep the curb up to a quality standard.
And I think the original question was frost depth, which is really similar to your standing curve. I mean, you're same type of construction depth. The quantity of concrete, I think, is actually a little bit more because it's wider. So it's not less expensive, but in the long run, it probably is. We've got less damage, less replace, a lot of new stuff, but not less expensive in the construction. It's actually more expensive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think also a slant curve, from my understanding of those designs, is it's actually more amenable to emergency equipment, just because you're not doing damage. If a truck has to, or an ambulance has to drive over something, you're not going over that 90-degree protruding barrier.
Or standing curve.
Yeah, versus a standing curve. Okay. That answer your questions, Greg?
Yeah, Casey, you know, with a 1-inch reveal on this kind of curve, you know, I see a couple issues could develop. When we get some of these large storms, the water level can get kind of deep running down a street and all. Is there sufficient drainage there to keep this kind of curve from being overflowed, I guess, and coming into a front yard? It seems like that would be a difference between the two curb designs.
So obviously with the 1-inch reveal, when we get to the final plan or preliminary plan, we'll take a look at all flow depths. But generally, with vertical curb, you have your cross-section vertical curves here. You have a much deeper flow depth than you would have a slant curve because you have a slant as well. So you have I'd say more volume and a lesser depth with the slant curve. I wouldn't say that the 1-inch reveal is a large concern. Just in general, slant curve obviously has pros and cons. I think Wild Deer Drive over towards Stony Point is one example. The township currently has slant curve, and the other example would be Heatherwoods Phase 2B. I think is the other example that has slant curve in the township. So if you're familiar with those areas, those are two locations that currently have slant curve.
Do you require more inlets to handle and to get the water away quicker then, or is it the same amount?
I would say generally
either way.
I would say generally it's about the same amount.
You know, one of the other issues too would be 20 years down the road, if you were to need to overlay the road for some reason or other, the slant curve really doesn't allow you much room to do that. Does it? You then basically have to go to a milling situation to keep that same profile, water carrying ability?
Right, so there is, I'm not sure if it's in your packet or not, there was some emails from the Township Roadmaster Brett, who's not here today, and the Township Transportation Engineer from two. Basically, their largest con with slant curve would be the future possibility of overlaying, because with vertical curve, typically in the township, we've been using a 7-inch reveal. So, you know, a great instance is right outside of Pearl Hollow. The state came in, overlaid the entire road, put that reveal like 3 to 4 inches. They were pretty heavy on the thickness, but they didn't have to mill out anything. So if the development would ever have to get repaved, it most likely would have to get milled and overlaid rather than just coming in and overlaying it. Now, depending on the time, the situation, sometimes milling is better than overlaying the entire roadway. Sometimes you can get away with just overlaying it, not milling it, but that's definitely one of the largest cons of the slant curve. Like I said, that's one of the things that Brett had outlined as well as John Schick.
Yeah, we never got those comments, so I can't address that at all. But
Is it concerned flow depth?
Yeah, so the flow depth would definitely be a concern if you were to mill and overlay. But the other concern would be if you have a 1-inch depth to the slant curve, and typically your 9.5 millimeter super pave is 1.5 inches. So the township would not allow anybody to pave on top of the slant curve for that additional 1/2 inch. So that would be where obviously the main issue is.
Yeah, you know, with some of the extreme weather we have and the storms and flooding and all, you know, the vertical curb is absolutely keeps more water on the road and gets it get away. Yeah, I see it as more of a grading issue with the housing, if there's sufficient grading to keep it away from a house. There's been too many reports in the news in different places when these kind of storms hit, you know, it overruns everything and people have flooded basements, etc. And, you know, I think we have to be more cognizant of that when you're grading, building, keeping elevations than we did in the past. So, yeah, that's the reason for my concern. So.
The one caveat I was gonna add is in these tighter knit streets, with sumped inlets, if you were ever to overlay, it's highly likely you would have to mill regardless, or you would have big holes where people are parking for the inlets. So you would have to mill, or you have a very uncomfortable parking scenario.
The mill around the manhole covers anyway. So
Well,
you can end up with a lip.
Well, like an old homestead, they put extensions on
They
top.
put a
Yeah,
rise.
they put a riser on
Yeah,
it. You still have it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, you know, blacktop roads don't last forever, so it will be having to be done somewhere 20, 30 years down the road. So that's, you know, I think it's definitely worth the conversation.
One other caveat that was discussed at the planning commission is that we are still proposing to use type C inlets with a throat. So we will transition the slant curb at the inlets to help get the water into the inlets and still have the type C inlet with a throat.
And these roads will also be reduced width, so the milling and overlay concept with repaving roads is being used more and more as municipalities oversee.
Yeah, but we know it's, it adds a whole layer of expense to the project.
With the narrower roads, I mean, hopefully, I'm
Less
fairly confident, yeah.
I hear you. I hear you.
Any other questions? So planning was okay with it.
Yeah.
Planning recommended it, we're using it in other in a few other locations within the municipality.
And both the roadmaster and the traffic engineer, you know, they initially, if they had their brothers, would be vertical, but they weren't opposed to slide curb on it, so.
So I will make a motion then. What I'll do is I'll make a motion to authorize the use of the concrete slant curb and the alternate slant curb profile, concrete vertical curb along the proposed dedicated streets within the development as outlined in the information submitted to the township by the applicant's consultant on August 13, 2020. So do I have a second?
I was second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, and the motion carries.
And just to clarify the motion real quick, that slant curb will be for the proposed dedicated streets. Some of the private streets where the apartments are will be vertical curbing, so they do not have to use
Curb stops.
Curb stops, yes. And just to
State
clarify.
road will follow state requirements, so.
The verbiage proposed dedicated streets.
Correct.
In the
I just want to highlight that for everybody in the room.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, and the last one on the land planning engineer actions for tonight, morning, not tonight, this morning, is the Jenkins Stormwater Management Plan. Ken had been out to the site a few weeks ago, and on September 9th, 2021, observed the conditions of the site based on his recommendation. He found the site to be satisfactory and recommended that the township authorize a full release of remaining bank security to the Jenkins Stormwater Management Plan based on the observation conducted by the township and the storm enforcement officer on September 9th, 2021. I can go into more detail if you'd like, but it's pretty simple.
There's no one representing that. here this morning?
Do not pretty much.
Okay. So, any questions, comments?
I believe the amount we're holding is $10,148.
All right, so do I have a motion for
I'm not sure we're releasing, what was that?
Full release. It'd be all,
Full release, other than 10,000 or just?
The 10,000 is the full amount that we hold, just if you want our context.
And everybody's good to go with it?
Yeah, all right.
I would move to authorize full release of remaining financial security for Jenkins Stormwater Management Plan based upon the observations conducted by the township's MS4 officer in September of this year.
that? I will second that. Any other comments, questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, and the motion carries.
You gentlemen have a good day.
So we have this.
What's that?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Steve, I have a question,
Yes,
Casey, just before you leave.
I'm sorry, sir, name.
Doug Mack. I'd like to talk about something that you guys have seemed to let fall off the radar. I'm hitting Casey between the eyes on this one, but the project down on North Reamstown Road across from Shober's Meats. I know Becker Engineering acquired permits to get that section of pipe put in there, concrete end walls, and replace a grate and I forget what else. My question is, when you apply for permits, how long are they open typically? I mean, there's a time frame you gotta use it up with. Do you have
Yeah, I'd have to double check exactly how long that time frame is. The last permit that I did for a completely separate project, I think was 5 to 10 years. I know, you're talking about the North Reamstown Road, he's talking about the North Reamstown Road culvert project.
Where that fencing's still sitting there for the last 6 months, nothing's being done, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I can, as I kind of came on board, I was trying to get an update on different projects and things that were outstanding. That was one I recently spoke with Brent Lee about, and also then talked with the road crew to have them mobilized to get that squared away. I wanted to make sure we got that done before that permit expired, and we had to go through that all over again. So that is a tentative plan now, but I wasn't, until coming on and I'm picking up some of these other things that are outstanding, that's the goal of what we're trying to do.
I understand, Mike.
Yeah.
So we're gonna replace a drain lid and a grate, and I think it was at least one section of pipe and we're gonna put a concrete end wall in there, I think is what if I remember way back when this thing was talked about. So this is on the schedule, is what you're telling me.
Right.
And you hope to have it done when? This year, next year?
My goal is to get it done this year.
Okay,
That's the plan.
all right, okay, thank you.
I mean, trying to again cross off all these.
Yeah, you got thrown in, I understand.
Before we kind of have to redo it all over again.
Okay,
That's the plan.
thanks, Casey.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks, Archie.
Thanks again, Case. Okay, Mike, resolutions, we have some resolutions.
Yeah, we have two standard resolutions, one for the police pension and one for the non-uniform pension plan. Each year, by September 30th, we need to at least get these monies approved and our MMOs drafted and then put on file here. And we did that. We did get the final information in for both from Gerard. So we're actually had them signed off by the chief financial pension officer, which is RC, and similar to what we've done in the past, since the meetings fall sort of a little bit of overlap, we go back and approve these, officially sign off on resolutions, file those, and then we are able to plan accordingly, budget-wise, as well as making sure we meet our requirements for the state. So pretty straightforward. The only thing that's different from previous years is the number that goes in for both of these.
Significantly different
Right.
from prior years.
I should say, but the form doesn't change, and the amount, the MMO obligation for 2022 For the police pension one is $201,491. And please note that's prior to any type of state reimbursement that comes in there. And the one for the non-uniform is $27,500. So,
I want to add one overview thing to this, because
Sure.
I've said it a couple of times, and I think it's important for the public to understand this. There's been a lot of comments made in the past about, are we being good mentors of the township's money, or are we not, or were we spending money, or were we not spending money? Once again, this is the culmination of thousands of hours of work by a team that is on the pension committee. I want to put this in clear perspective. The number right now for the police pension MMO is $201,491. The reason that is because the pension is fully funded. The reason we're doing that is because we wanted to put a formula together to make sure we maximized the ability of getting the funds from the state that they contribute to the MMO. Okay? So rough numbers, I can get exact numbers, but approximately $172,000 is the portion that's going to come from the state of that $201,000, and we'll be contributing about $28,000 to $30,000 there. In 2020, to put it in perspective, that number was $647,000 and change. To put it in perspective again, in 2019, that number was $611,000 and change. Again, to put it in perspective, in 2018 it was $591,000. In 2016 it was $494,000. And in 2015 it was $526,000. So that's why I said, Mike, significant improvement in the number. Thank you.
So we have two action items concerning this. We separated them out. One is the motion to approve resolution 2021-12, which is for the police pension plan. Minimum municipal obligation, the amount of $201,491, and authorized signature of the resolution by Romeo Carrasco, pension officer, retro to 9/28/2021. And then you can consider that, and we can look at the second one if you want.
Do I have a motion for that?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
Second?
No, I have to abstain.
That's right, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's correct. Thanks, Chris. I will make that, I will then second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay, motion carries.
The next one is a motion to approve resolution 2021-13, East Cocalico Township non-uniform pension plan, minimum municipal obligation in the amount of $27,500, and authorize signature of the resolution by Romeo Carrasco, Chief Financial Pension Officer, retroactive to 9/28/2021.
Yes, I will make that motion.
And I will second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none, and the motion carries. Mike, that takes care of the MMO, that takes care of the MMOs for the pensions.
Right.
So then we have what we need.
Yep.
Okay. So the next item then is the East Cocalico Township Authority, the 2022 rental agreement.
Yeah, I guess every year at about this time, the board considers action to renew the rental agreement with the authority. The terms of the rental agreement right now remain unchanged from 2021, and for what I've gathered for many years prior. But that's, you guys can discuss it and we can finalize it. It's a one-year agreement. The rent now is $15.40 per square foot, making it 760 square feet. Monthly rental of $975, which is about $11,700 annually paid to the township by the 10th of every month. And the authority carries its own content insurance. So I believe to follow past years, what was put into your packets was a renewal without any changes. If there's something that you would like to discuss possibly changing it, we could do that as well if you're looking at possibly a minor increase in rent, since it hasn't increased, or if you want to keep it as it is, we can discuss that and then ultimately take action on the agreement.
I'll start by saying, I think they've been excellent tenants and good stewards. I don't think we should, I personally don't think we should be changing that at all.
Well, I'm a little bit on the other side of the fence there. All these years of no increase, you know, a small increase would probably be in order. We're doing studies about the generator. Those things were initiated by the authority. We're spending money on that to accommodate them and us, but you know, a small 2 to 5% increase wouldn't be out of line in my opinion.
2 to 5% what, annually or for next year?
For next year only.
Just impact-wise, I was trying to prepare, figuring if there was one, just to give you guys what it looked like. I had a 2.6%, and I don't know why I did 2.6, but I think I just rounded it. Maybe didn't have anything to do for those 5 minutes, and I thought, let's do 2.6. That came up to $15.79 per square foot. That's $1,000 a month, $12,000 for the year, compared to the 11.7. So that's a $300 difference. And a 5% would get you to about $12,289, which is $1,024 per month. So it's an increase of about $590 for the year.
Yeah, and there is a clause in there that limits the amount of increase that can be put on them based on consumer price index, I believe. But, you know, being there were so many years of no increase, well, I'm not sure that they would look at that as very relevant.
It's the wish of the board.
Any thoughts, Greg?
Well, I've sat on both sides of the fence. I was on the authority board, as was Doug, for many years, and you know, tried to find the revenue to pay the bills and what have you. And my question, I guess, would have been on electricity. I thought that there had been a rather significant increase in a kilowatt hour, and I believe it's just one meter, isn't it?
As far as I know.
I believe it's all one meter. If that's been a significant jump or snapback or whatever,
I've just been through the budget review of where we are this year and where we're looking at next year, and that didn't hit the radar at all. So I can't say what it was, but I mean, it wasn't even addressed as, hey, this is the and I know we're always trying to work together to say how can we, if we're duplicating things, how can we do it and not have to duplicate it, but that hasn't come up as an issue.
it's okay.
Yes, sir.
Varsity, Doug Macklin. Thinking about the electric, the rates are going down, at least to us, because we went through the building in about 2018 and put all LEDs in here. Got rid of all the incandescent lights, and the rates did drop. I mean, not the rates, the amount that it cost us to run the electric. So that's, you know, that's not a valid point.
Good.
You look around, there's all LEDs in here, out in the hall, everywhere. So, and I heard what Jeff's saying, but you know, these guys are part of the township, and the only way they can raise money is increase people's rates. Just like the only way you can raise money is increase taxes. I've always felt that, I never understood why we charge them to begin with, they're part of the township, but that was set in stone long before I came on the board. We're not a money-making organization, we're not allowed to make money by law. So, I can't imagine $300 either way is gonna break the bank.
Right.
When I see what goes on around here with the money spent, and you're worried about $300, I just think you guys need to open your eyes and be the right thing.
We'll be spending $1,000 for a study on the electric use.
You're gonna benefit too, Jeff, so you know, I don't blame it on them, you know, it's more for you and the police than it is for them, so.
Not a problem. That's the board's wish.
So, keep it the same? So Craig's saying keep it the same, I think we should keep it the same.
I'm sure that they're, if you will, an outstanding tenant. I mean, that's not a question. They're an operating authority because they serve as part of the community and not the full community. But they, at less than $1,000 a month, it's a bargain. But I believe it's very helpful and very handy to have them across the hall. When our first township manager was hired, she was actually paid 30% of her salary, 35, came from across the hall.
Correct.
And I'm sure that there are questions and issues and what have you that come to the township's window that should be directed to the authority. But because of the proximity, it's very handy for the citizens.
Okay. So I will make a motion. Mike, you need a motion for that one.
Yeah, motion to approve and execute the East Cocalico Township Water and Sewer Authority rental agreement for the year 2022.
As is.
As is,
Yeah, I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
I was like,
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, sir. Okay, next item. Okay, the zoning ordinance and map consideration.
Yeah, we have Claudia Shanks here from McNeese, Wallace, and Newark to, I guess, give a quick overview on the petition and the rezoning request and the request from the township, possible action.
So just in terms of a quick update in terms of where things are since we were last before the board, we have made some revisions to the petition. I understand that Mike circulated those to you. I did bring along revised copies of the petition as well this morning. So we made a few changes. They're relatively minor tweaks, but they're primarily based on concerns that Mr. Lead had, just to make sure that we're adequately addressing buffering and screening and some of those items. I should say, just for context, although I'm sure the board recalls, this request relates to 152 or 2152 and 2170 North Reading Road, the proposed rezoning of portions of those properties to light industrial to facilitate the construction of a warehouse and some text amendments to the ordinance as well to allow for that to occur. So we have been to both the Township Planning Commission as well as the County Planning Commission to discuss the rezoning and the text amendments. Both have recommended approval. We've also been in conversation with the township, your manager, and Brent, as well as John Schick, to talk about the traffic improvements that would be associated with this project. As you know, one possible configuration for the site would involve the relocation of Hill Road, which would likely involve some cost sharing between the township and the applicant to achieve that new configuration. Mike has it up on the screen, so that's one possibility that we are looking at this point in time. There's still more conversations, I think, that we need to have with the township to figure out how costs could potentially be allocated to achieve that realignment. But in the interim, time is critical for our client to be able to move forward with the rezoning. So I'm asking the board today to authorize staff to schedule a hearing on the rezoning for November 18th. So that would still give us some additional time to continue to talk about the road relocation with your staff and your engineers, and then we would be back before you in November for a full hearing on the petition.
We talked November 18th or October 18th.
November 18th.
And then you'll be back when?
On November 18th. So that we're asking
Oh, okay.
to schedule the hearing, yeah.
Yeah, so if the board decides today to authorize the township solicitor to schedule that and advertise it, that would be the date that the ordinance could be considered and the public hearing would be held. And in the interim, as we mentioned, we're obviously looking at this proposed layout and cost because, you know, the feasibility of the project for the township as well includes those issues concerning transportation and not only just from a safety end and a layout end, a design end, but also the financial feasibility of it. So we need to make sure that it's something that hopefully is going to be a good win for everybody involved. But procedurally, in order to get to that point, we have to then also advertise and schedule a hearing, post the properties, do what we need to do in order to bring that to at least a decision process. I spoke with the township solicitor this morning before the meeting. He did not have any comments concerning the petition language. He didn't have any changes, and he did confirm schedule-wise as to that would be the earliest he could do anything. It would be the 18th. He couldn't do anything before that because of advertising and so forth. So.
Gentlemen, questions?
Do we have Shake's full comment?
No, not yet. He did an early review of some information that came in, and then just yesterday had received some more financial information concerning it, which I did forward to him. But that's the type of items that are going to have to happen over the course of the next couple of weeks as we prepare for that in November.
But I don't know what we need time to look at and review it.
Yeah, I would hope that we would have that prior to our first meeting in November. I believe we were initially looking at, and you had clarified, when we had the discussion through Zoom in, was it September, I think, they were talking about a gap study and some updated calcs in regard to the traffic counts. And then I think they had put together, maybe you can explain, like a preliminary scope for PennDOT. Is that that's what John really referred to, or references that?
I think they have a preliminary, basically a traffic scoping application ready to go for PennDOT and TIS. So they were looking at some of those things. I mean, basically what we were talking about is, you know, you have the Hill Road realignment, which is desirable for us, it's desirable for the township, or potentially you could look at just, you know, basically putting in a driveway to the site and not realigning Hill Road. Those are the two alternatives. So of course, you know, we think the Hill Road realignment benefits everybody, but we've got to make sure the numbers work for our project and for the township. So that's kind of the exercise that we're all involved in right now. Just trying to massage the numbers so that they work with our project and that, you know, we can achieve that more desirable condition. The alternative, like I said, we can still do the project. We believe there's some additional data your traffic engineer would want without the realignment, but maybe a little less desirable for everybody.
So I think I understand what you're saying, Craig, and I kind of resonate with that in terms of by doing this for November 18th, from a timeline perspective, does that give us enough time to get all that data in place to do those comparisons?
I think I would say that it does. I think we have most of it to the township at this point in time, but I think basically we need to have another discussion and a follow-up conversation from our last conversation. But I think that that will give us enough time, and I'll tell you very candidly, it's critical for my client because they're on a timeline with their seller too,
Right.
to, close on the property, which we've already had to extend somewhat to accommodate this process, so.
And that's exactly why I'm asking. I want to be amenable to your schedule, right? So that we have everything in place so we can make intelligent decisions and it doesn't affect your timeline also.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And I mean, we could look at having, maybe, as we try to work through this in October, having John at the first meeting in November, so you can ask questions, and we can see where we are, and as we prepare for that meeting on the 18th.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I mean, that way then, by that time, hopefully we'll have a better layout. I mean, obviously, we're looking at, this was a draft layout that was put there. Is there a better location, and can it be tweaked a little that way? But then the other item is, if there's a big cost to the township, where are we at with that, and how do we do that? Is there a way of maybe that cost being lessened to the township? And does that work for everybody involved? So we got to sort through a lot of those particulars. But it's an intersection that we know has been on our radar, and it's the possibility of that also seeing some additional growth and development there. So, but if that makes you, if you guys are comfortable with that first meeting in November, which I think would be 14 minus 18 is the 4th, right? Am I right on that, November 4th? Then we can at least have our engineer here to go through and answer any other questions you guys may have based off the information that comes in before that.
We'll say too, if we scheduled it and for whatever reason weren't ready, there's nothing stopping us from continuing it. But if we don't schedule it, we sort of lose the opportunity to do so because of the advertising.
And your whole deadline is to hold people accountable.
Exactly.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that, Jeff. Great.
Yeah, I don't either, but just as an initial reaction to the sketch plan, when I see the connector road loop through our property like it is, it kind of destroys any future use for our open land there the way it is. And I would hope that there would be a way of moving that a little bit so that it gives us opportunities in our property here in the future, if there needs to be.
There have been.
And I haven't discussed that with our engineer at all, but, it's just an initial reaction to what I saw.
Sure, I appreciate that. There have been a number of different iterations. Of course, the challenge is if we move it off the township's land, we're moving it onto private property and then we're negotiating. So not that we're necessarily opposed to doing that. We think there might be some land swap opportunities depending on how the alignment would be situated, but that's kind of the challenge we're dealing with.
My suggestion wouldn't be to move it off the township land, but minimize it, the effect by putting it closer to the property line.
And I think one of the other items too, Mike, and for the board that I remember was we had some residents that had indicated that, I'm not sure, this is old history, right? Historically, what were the allocations for what that land could be used for specifically? So we still gotta.
Yeah, I did mention that to Tom, and
To look into the deeds.
I said we want to just confirm it, and I asked him if he had recalled that, so I did look at some information, I didn't see anything on there, but I said he's going to need to
But
at
we
least
still,
confirm that.
right, and that's what I'm saying, we still have that action item on our end.
Historically, the township had hoped to create a four-way intersection at Hill and take Hill Road across 272 and then meander to the right to meet Pepperidge Farms Drive, or whatever you want to call that. Mr. Zinn was rather vehemently opposed to that, and it does never happen, as you see. I don't recall any deed restrictions placed on this grant from Mr. Zinn on this side.
Right. And that's really, it's just, since the comment was raised, the thought was, I will confirm it before we did.
And you're talking in terms of a deed restriction on the township property, is that what you're referring to? Okay.
Okay, so from unless you have any other questions, or if you want to consider at least getting that started timeline-wise, we have to have a motion to authorize the solicitor to advertise the public hearing and ordinance amending the East Cocalico zoning ordinance and zoning map for the properties located at 2152 North Reading Road and 2170 North Reading Road for the Board of Supervisors meeting, for consideration of the Board of Supervisors meeting on Thursday, November 18th, 2021.
We have a question about, yes, sir.
Doug Mackle. Having sat through a bunch of these hearings before, I would make a recommendation that you move that meeting to a bigger facility than this. Because if you have this spacing of chairs, they're gonna be standing out in the hall, and they're not gonna be able to be heard. We've always held those at one of the fire halls, just to give, because there's 10,000 people in this township. And they're gonna have some comments, and they all wanna be heard. And I would suggest that you do move that meeting to a bigger facility for that purpose.
Okay,
Good comment.
it's a good point, thank you, sir.
So what you're saying is you would like, you laid out the schedule that you would like to have. If we're able, we all have the information you need, and we have the information we need, and we have a schedule we can follow. But if either you or the board don't have all the pieces of the puzzle yet, we can ask for a delay and the other party will be amenable. Is that?
You mean my client? It's a legislative action and it's in your hands to schedule it or not, so we would certainly have to be. But yes, I mean, you know, it's a work in progress, and we understand that there's things that the township needs to understand before they're in a position to make a decision about this.
So I will go ahead and make that motion. And do I have a second? Motion you read, Lynn.
You want me to read it, or?
Yes, please.
Motion to authorize the township solicitor to advertise the public hearing in the ordinance amending the East Cocalico zoning ordinance and zoning map for the properties located at 2152 North Reading Road and 2170 North Reading Road for consideration at the Board of Supervisors meeting on Thursday, November 18th, 2021.
Okay, again, I will make that motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is MS4. Former soil stopping sediment program.
Yes, the names, we need to call it something, and that lets us call it FS4 instead of MS4.
Very creative.
Yeah.
Is there a committee that pulled that together? Extensively.
The purpose of that program,
Sorry, Ken.
that's all right. The purpose of the program is to allow the township to get sediment reduction credits under our MS4 requirements. The township is required to eliminate an annual amount of sediment equal to somewhat over 151,000 pounds, which is quite a bit of sediment. And this program is a way to get that credit for significantly lower cost. The stream bank projects, larger ones, can run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The original amount on the project in the Greenstown Municipal Park was approaching $700,000, which didn't seem like a good idea. So we've come up with this program in which we are able to get sediment reduction credit by practices that farmers within the urban area of the township use when growing their crops. In other words, they're maintaining a higher surface residue, in other words, bits of plant matter that basically are shielding the soil surface from rain, because most of the sediment that comes off of farm field is removed by the actual impact of raindrops on the soil. That's what rings off about 90% of the sediment loss, rather than just water running over the surface, which is moving at a much lower velocity. So the program picked out 2 different levels of crop residue, and this has all been run past DEP, and they're in agreement with this. So there are 2 different levels, a higher and a lower level, and we are compensating the farmers who agree to do this financially on a per acre basis. And this, there's a draft agreement now that is for the farmers that are participating, so there's some binding contract. They're going to do this for us because we have to get that sediment credit, and this sort of ensures that that's going to take place. It's not just a random verbal agreement. So did you want to add anything to that, Jeff? You've worked on this quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been an ongoing effort since, I guess, early last spring to try and come up with, verbiage that keeps everybody happy, keeps it all legal, different ways of approaching this. We had talked at one time about a bid process, but there was legal problems with that. A solicitor wasn't happy with that concept. We did some advertising and some legwork to kind of get a feeling of the community, what kind of numbers it would take to encourage participation. And we came up with 2 different figures of $150 an acre for the lower residue number and $225 for a higher residue number. And our credits follow along with that theory as well. We get a whole lot more credit for higher residue than we do lower residue. But it's an ongoing process, educational with some farmers. They get reluctant to move ahead and try new things, and it's a challenge to get a buy-in with everybody. Some will move forward with this concept, and some won't. We do. There's actually one farmer in the township that he's talked about doing it gratis, a plain farmer that he wants no compensation. So hopefully we can follow through with him, and that would be a great benefit to the township. So, but that wouldn't be enough to accommodate our program. We need multiple producers from each watershed, so the Muddy Creek watershed as well as the Cocalico watershed. So we've talked about moving forward with this now that we have the legal verbiage in place. I think, Ken, we've targeted the other caveat to this. They have to be in the urban area, and that excludes a lot of farmland in the township. We've narrowed it down, I think, Ken, what was the number, 65 landowners?
Yeah, in the mid-60s.
Yeah, that have 5 acres that are usable, 10-acre property fall into that category. Somebody, it has to be enough to make it worthwhile to go through the legal process, and that's one of the parameters we decided to put on it. So, I think we'll have maybe an informational letter sent out to these property owners before we formally advertise it. We're still talking a little bit about that, the process of how we're going to finally advertise and accept bids. You know, we did decide it's going to be on a first come, first served basis, since we have a finite number of acres we need, but we're not just going to, we can't accommodate everybody if there's a large interest in the program. So I'm not sure, Mike, is there anything I missed there? Or?
No, I guess the other, you mentioned out the per acre cost and the, some of the requirements of having to be in the urbanized area, and then also to have a E&S conservation plan, a nutrient management plan or manure management plan. The projected cost to the township annually, we looked at if we had full participation, would be about $30,000 is what we estimated. That was including what we would pay as well as the work that Team Ag would do to confirm that they are in compliance, and also some free crop consultant services which would be included in there. It would be done through a grant award, as you mentioned, and I guess really the, after a discussion, we would want to get board approval to implement the program. And under those guidelines, again, as we talk, we'll work out the schedule and how we notify everybody and so forth. But we should at least get on the record after you discuss it, if you want to move forward, your approval so that we set those rates and kind of make sure we can tie back to this program.
Yeah, and we did talk about sending the letters out to landowners and a general page or maybe more in the next newsletter to just inform everybody of what the details are. You know, I think we've done the best we can to try and make it known to everybody that it would be relative to, but the whole citizenry as well should be aware of it.
Yeah, and even to put it in context, Denver Borough is doing has to do a third of that settlement amount, and doing a creek stream bank restoration project, we'll probably be spending about $450,000 to do that. Now, all the money's grant money, fortunately, but you can see for getting over 3 years, the possibility of spending $90,000 versus spending that amount of money, it's quite a significant savings for the township. And who knows down the road, maybe even if the amount of people who are farmers who are eligible and want to come in exceed, maybe there's a partnership that the township can have with another municipality to have that municipality pay. We make sure we keep our credits, they get some other credits.
Recording in progress.
And we minimize our costs. And at the same time, we're doing positive things on our farms here at the township. So it's really a good program that hopefully will take off.
Here's the question that I have. I agree that this is the right thing to do in terms of the MS4 credits we can receive for the township. But the devil's in the details, and there's a couple things I didn't see in the agreement yet.
Exactly.
Okay. Specifically, it's the notes that I wrote down when I looked at this was monitoring, enforcement, and audit of the program. Who's actually doing it? How's it being done? What's the time frame that it's being done over? And the reason I'm bringing that up is if you hand me a contract like this, I want in that contract, what's your monitoring mechanism, what's your enforcement mechanism, and what is your audit mechanism to enforce what's here from both parties?
It will be in the informational packet that goes along with it, whether it should be included in the agreement.
As an amendment, maybe?
It could be.
Yeah, I think that might save a lot of headaches in the future.
Yeah, we talked about that. We have the details. This Team Ag from Ephrata will be doing the monitoring, the residue checks, and all. So before any payment goes out in the crop year, they will be signing off on it. So you know, they're our official partner in this that way. There is money in the budget to accommodate them for the work that they're doing.
Yeah, so maybe it's as simple as, you know, an attachment here that says that Team Agway is responsible for those items.
Yeah, you know, either way, there was going to be an informational packet with it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Question for the board. I brought this up before. I don't understand why you want to pay anyone to prevent erosion out onto the road, because it's been pointed out to me many, many times that the township, and it was pointed out by Ken McCrane, since he's the MS4 guy, and Jeff agreed. I asked Ken a long time ago in a public meeting, if I drive down the road and see Craig Eversole's farm, the water's just running off his field and taking dirt right down the road, who do I call? Well, the comment was, well, don't call us, we can't enforce it. You have to call Lancaster County Conservation District. They're the only people that can fine. So now what we're saying is, what you're proposing here is you're gonna pay farmers our money, and if they pollute the road, we're gonna have to rely on somebody else to, you said, Jeff, you said that Team Ag will monitor it. You never addressed the issue of who's gonna enforce it. You kind of skirted around that. Who's gonna enforce it?
Here's the thought process. If they don't meet the minimum residue levels in any way, it makes the agreement void. We will not be paying them money.
So you're saying you're gonna enforce, the township's gonna enforce this?
We will enforce anybody that signed up to the agreement. If they do not meet the minimum residue requirements, they will not be paid.
Why don't you?
There's no advance payment until after planning and the Team Ag can do the verification process.
Okay, I guess my comment is, if you're willing to enforce it then, why don't you enforce it now?
Well, it's not our arm to enforce it. As I said, the County Conservation District, it is their job. You know, it's a different level of government. It's not local government. As you've said before, if the expectation is to hold the feds or the county accountable for this kind of validation, and you know, I guess you got to go to your state or your federal legislators.
Well,
What can we do in that process?
Well, I guess I'm struggling with why you're paying people to do stuff that they should be doing in the first place.
Well,
It sounds like the federal
I don't
government.
disagree with your concept. You know, as you know, I've implemented this stuff on my farm, and I can meet the most stringent requirements. But not everybody looks at it that way. And if an arm of another government agency isn't going to enforce it, what are we to do? We can constantly talk to them, keep the conversation open that, we'd like you to enforce this. It's no different than anybody else with a stormwater issue in other ways. If they're not going to enforce it, what can we do but keep making them aware of the situation?
Well, again, that's just my philosophical difference. You and I don't agree on that, and that's neither here nor there. But I have one other comment on that issue. What about the task of cleaning out all the stormwater drains? We started this program back in 2018, late 2018 or early 2019. We were going to go around and have our road crew go around to every stormwater drain and clean those things out. Ultimately, all that stuff goes into all these little feeder streams into the Chesapeake, and that's where all this MS4 is coming from. As far as I was concerned, that should be a regular project, an ongoing project. Has anyone looked at the storm box channel on Denver Road behind Turkey Hill with multiple pipes? Now I got my story here straight crossed up. Behind Denver Road and Turkey Hill where multiple pipes flow into the structure. Right now, I look at the township, and it appears to me that East Cocalico Township's more interested in planting trees and wildfire pots than dealing with larger effective projects like stormwater issues. I mean, that's where you got all these catch basins in the township that collect all this road residue, the oil, the grease, the gas, all that crap. You don't clean them out. It goes down the stream. It's polluting what you're trying to pay somebody not to do. I think you guys, you're willing to spend $30,000. You were just arguing about a $300 raise to the water authority. This is what I mean about, you guys are just going spending money, proposing to, and yet you wanted to hold these guys hostage for $300.
If I can address that, that's part of the MS4 program. The township was split up into 4 sections. There are more than 2,000 inlets in the township, and each year we are doing inspections in one of the quarters, and it's rotating. So we're now moving on to the 4th one, and so yes, they're being inspected.
Are they being cleaned out though?
Yeah, he's keeping a list of which ones need cleaned out, and then after that, they're basically having someone come into the vac truck to clean them out. So yes, the ones that need it are being cleaned out.
Well, and again, I said, we started this program almost 4 years ago. And I listened to the roadmaster's report, he never says anything about it. He's washing trucks, he's doing this, he's doing that. You never hear anything about, we cleaned out so many culvert boxes, we got so many pounds of residue out of them. There's no detail in the reports.
So you know darn well that years ago, the roadmaster didn't even come to the township meeting.
I understand that.
Give away
Right.
detailed reports.
Right, I understand that.
All right.
Yep. But heretofore, he's been there. When Chris Ford was here, he came to the meetings. And from that point on, it's been that way. But here lately, I haven't heard anything from a roadmaster about stormwater boxes.
Each year, I give him a list of the stormwater inlets that need to be cleaned out. They've all been numbered in our CS data and inventory.
Okay.
And the road crew is going around as they get time and doing inspections. All the inspection informations get entered into our database. And so it is being done. Each year I'm giving them a list of what needs to be done and checking up with them to make sure it's being done, and it is.
Well, and you know that, but I don't think anybody in this room ever heard that till right now.
No, it's not, hasn't been part of his report.
Well, it should be.
Well,
It's
okay.
an MS4 thing. It's a big thing. But anyhow,
Then we can ask him.
enough time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyway. So is that what we had then for MS4 for that program?
Yeah, I think if there's other questions by you or Craig for that, maybe we can answer them now. This is the idea as presented. If there needs to be an addendum, I'm fine with that. The informational was planning on going out one way or the other with the contract, so.
I guess if we've been able to identify 60-some who could be used in the program, I guess I would target them as opposed to sending out to farms that aren't in the UGB or,
Yeah, and we've done that in the past, and to have meetings, we have lists of all the farms and the ones in the urban area. That's been disseminated already. But, I think it's a two-tiered, like I said, a two-tiered setup where they get targeted with specific letters, but, perhaps in the township newsletter, the whole public or everybody that receives it can be targeted, as well as the advertisement in the newspaper. So that way it's well advertised, well distributed.
My hesitation right now is, I don't think we should be mailing or sending anything out or putting it in the newsletter right now without having the complete information. Because you have farmers that are identified, which is great, but if they see what the monitoring, the enforcement, or the audit side of it looks like, they may not be interested.
Well, that was part of the informational sheet to go with it.
Right, so I think we
You want to see that before it happens?
Yeah,
We
I'd like to
can
see
have that for next
complete
meeting.
packet. Yeah,
Okay, we can,
Yes.
that shouldn't be a problem.
No,
because then it alleviates anyone saying that was never indicated initially.
Yeah, no problem. we will follow up next meeting
Thank you.
with that. Yep.
Okay. Right, so end of year advertisements.
Yeah, Lisa had included here, I guess generally at this meeting, and this is really getting sort of authorization to do those, even though they aren't completely prepared now, but it enables us to kind of keep moving as they are prepared and send them out. But looking for authorization to have us send out the advertisements for the audit notice, CPA appointment, the 2022 meeting date, and the 2022 draft budget. So there is a motion in here to essentially give that approval, and then as we work through the process, get the timing, obviously we'll get those drawn up, make sure you guys see them, and we can proceed with advertising, not have to tie it into another meeting for approval, so.
Yeah, that's more of an annual procedure.
Right.
Yeah. So, any questions?
Well, just to get this straight, we haven't, I guess, had a look at the calendar yet for next year. Did I miss something, or?
I thought she sent an email out
Okay.
a month ago with the calendar on it.
Okay, then I missed it. I apologize. You know, I'll reiterate again what I did a year ago. I'm not a fan of morning meetings. With myself and the work schedule I get involved with, you know, I probably should be doing 10 other things yet this morning, but it ain't gonna happen. So, you know, I would love to see only evening meetings on the calendar next year. You know, at certain times of the year, it's not a problem for me. You know, winter or summer, but this spring and fall, as I said today, should have been elsewhere right now. But that would be my comment. I would love to see them go away. You like them, right? Mr. Chief. Comment in the audience.
If I may just comment, follow up on you, Mr. Mitchell, same way with business owners, folks working, it's very hard to make a 9 a.m. meeting. You know, after work is far better.
We have employees that, you know, this works out great for them. They don't have to, it's an evening off for them. I understand their concerns. You know, it's a balancing act. Where do you make this? But, you know, from, I guess, looking in front of the normal crowd we have here, I guess a bunch of them are maybe working today. They couldn't be here. So, yeah, it's just my thought that maybe we could temper this or get rid of it somehow.
I'm sorry, your name just,
I'm sorry, Marie Sippler?
okay, thank you. Well, I believe the quarterly morning meetings were put in place because in the past there were numerous complaints about transparency and people that were on second and third shift that could not attend the meetings. So we did that as a courtesy to the community to give them the flexibility and the ability to attend at least a quarterly daily meeting. That's why they were put in place.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I could comment, like at this meeting, we have 5 people on Zoom that are attending the meeting. So again, that gives people another option, and if they don't participate, they can watch it after the fact because it's recorded and then put onto the website, onto YouTube.
Yeah, there's more options now than what there was
Well,
2-3 years ago.
I'm trying to run 3 businesses, so I too have a pretty tight schedule. But I'm also listening to what the constituents told us in the past. And my personal opinion is if we go back to evening meetings, we're going from full flexibility and we're migrating back towards less flexibility. So,
Well, it's only relevant if they show up one way or the other in person or on Zoom. Otherwise, it's an empty comment.
Or I mean, the meetings are posted after they're done, and they can view them as their schedule.
How about this as a solution? Instead of 4, we go to 2. Maybe have the winter, summer one still in the morning. That way, you know, maybe some more people will show up versus what we've seen.
Wish you Lord.
I'm not impacted. I don't mean it, but I'm not, okay?
I would like to leave them as is. It is not easy for me. It's extremely difficult. I should be in another state right now handling some things, and I drove in last night at the last minute. And as soon as I'm done here, I'm driving back.
If every morning meeting was a rainy day, I would have no problem with it. But, you know, they governed by the weather too much.
I do know that both West Cocalico and Effort Township have some morning meetings. Do we have any idea of their frequency? Are they?
Their times were earlier, I thought. 7 o'clock, I believe.
In Effort, I believe.
Clay Township has one morning meeting a month at 7 a.m.
I prefer 6 a.m. I'm up at 5.
I can do that.
Don't tell my number, but
How about the other side of the room? Any comment about morning meetings? No. Okay.
So you're a tiebreaker here.
well,
Yes, sir.
Lorenzo Venora. I mean, my only thing with a morning meeting is, like, there is other options now. Zoom, watch it afterwards. I mean, I've been coming to these meetings now for the past year, just 4 or 5 people in the audience every morning meeting. But, I mean, that's just my 2 cents for me either way. I'll be here anyway, but I just feel we'll have more people in the room at 7 p.m. than 9 a.m. or 7 p.m. than 6 a.m.
Okay, thank you. Greg, the pressure's on.
it's no pressure. I kind of think that the June 42 is a decent compromise. I do like that people can either Zoom and be sitting in their, you know, home office having a coffee. I think there's a whole bunch of people that have learned how to work from home and work from home effectively. And if you did it monthly, one time West Cocalico, well, you said Clay Township holds one of them a month. I think you're not taking into account everyone's lives, but to a year, I mean,
So,
don't work for me,
so,
I think we were like a February, July morning, or March, July, the first and third quarter. Those were the months, because it was wasn't it the July 1st this year where we were here in the morning with the advertising meeting, or was it the well, I think it was
I don't remember. Was it beginning of July?
Yeah.
no, but that would have been the one that we called and advertised. It's the month before. holiday week there.
We weren't going to meet that.
We weren't gonna meet that.
But then we ended up
That's right.
meeting it.
Because it's the holiday week.
I'm on vacation, so.
So you want to make a
You were
motion?
Gallows and the fire.
Why don't you make a motion, that way we can,
Sure. I'll make a motion that we go to 2 morning meetings for the 2022 year. It would be my preference to have them in the first and third quarter of the year. And if you gentlemen are all right with that timetable, that would be my preference.
And would that motion include approving the advertisements with that schedule change in it?
And, yeah, that too.
let's say, all the affiliated advertisements.
Correct.
So that would be the CPA, the auditing firm, the draft budget, everything.
Correct. That would be my motion.
It just makes sense.
Yep. No problem.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I am a no. So motion carries. Okay. Manager.
Yeah, mine's relatively quick. Just wanted to update the township, the building generator. Remember, we approved that to have Arrow complete that study to add us to the authority and a study concerning both the authority and the police, the generator for the building here. The motion we made was not to exceed 800. It came in as a not to exceed 1,000. So I just wanted to make sure it's in the minutes and there's not any issues that is in fact what we're going to pay for that work. So. Now, on the flip side, the township cybersecurity quote, we approved that. Previously, the estimate at that time was $1,939.80. We got that revised number down to $1,647. So we just cut a couple $100 off of there, and we saw the other one. So again, that was with no B4, and that's our cybersecurity, and the actual cost is going to be $1,647, which is less than what we thought on September 16th, so just to get that mentioned in the minutes as well. Any questions? I'm sorry, I'm just kind of moving through now. Reamstown Skate Park, I did distribute to the board a copy of the safety management inspection report that was done by the safety management specialist with Selective Insurance on September 14th, just prior to the facility opening. The report included 2 recommendations. Consider installing a fence with a gate around the facility to prevent usage after shutdown, and a recommendation to conduct tree pruning and weekly inspections, documenting routine maintenance to manage debris and ensure that the bowl structure drains is working properly. I did ask at the time for a sample inspection report that we could use, which I did receive, and it forwarded to the roadmasters and our road department as they do their weekly checks through the parks. Could fill that form out. We could keep that on file. In regard to the fencing, I didn't see anywhere in any plans to install a fence. I know they've been objected to in many other places. Denver actually had a fence and took it down because of the issues. I think the response would be, just to make sure you guys are comfortable with it, that we will be working with obviously with the police department to control that area like they do other parks. And it's a relatively dark area at night, so it's not like there's a lot of light providing it. So if we do see that people are there, we can have that enforcement by the police. Fine with that, chief?
Yeah, and if you put a fence, the climb over,
No.
sorry, it's just kind of reality, so.
So we'll continue with the inspection forms, we'll file those, we'll make sure that if we find something, we can jump off that quickly, and then I'll just respond accordingly to the insurance provider's request to let them know what we've discussed.
Okay. Can I ask you for a favor?
Sure.
I'll let them know also, but the skate park ribbon cutting ceremony is on the 17th. Just, I'll let the board know also myself, but when you speak with them, I will be out of state attending a funeral, so unfortunately I cannot attend.
Okay, I'll let them know. Ken?
Yeah, just a minor typo. It's the Reamstown Municipal Park, not the Memorial Park.
Yeah, I saw that.
Memorial Park's an independent association.
Yeah.
You're right, yep. And I know we were trying to name it, because even then, when I told the insurance companies the Reeves Town Municipal Park, they were like, well, we don't have that name anywhere as a park. And I was like, well, we're kind of creating that name, and then if you look at the sign has something different on it down there, so maybe we're gonna need a little naming as we get into next year, and so as we kind of are promoting everything we're doing, we'll be able to let people know where exactly it is, so, thanks again for
Well,
that.
maybe the distinction is that whatever we own is the East Cocalico something.
Yeah.
Township Park.
Well, that would be East
Because I
Cocalico.
think people in the past have referred to a lot as the pool, the pool, and that was the sort of, the pool's closed. So, be a good opportunity for us to, again, show off some of the new things we have and get some recycling around it. And then lastly, the Eagle Disposal PA on September 22nd. The representative from Eagle stopped in when I was at Denver and had a letter which I provided to the board, and he indicated they would like to resume their recycling services on Monday, October 18th. They'll be collected every other week, same day trash is collected. Said they currently have 5 drivers that had COVID, 7 load operators that were COVID, so they are very short-staffed, and that's why they needed those additional weeks. And they will continue to have their roll-off container at their facility on East Earl Road, East Earl, as an additional option. When we sent the letter back in August 23rd, we had referred, the reason why I'm just bringing it up to bring you up to speed is that we had given them to October 1st to kind of continue that, and then if not, failure to do so may result in the township revoking their hauler permit. I have to say, I haven't had any calls since that initial process went out, when people got to notice that they weren't going to collect recyclables, and everybody was getting a little bit worried about what that meant. We posted the other haulers on the website. We contacted Eagle with this. So it's not like I'm getting a lot of complaints of issues, and I don't know if people are seeing any complaints with trash or recyclables being left anywhere. It's kind of become, I'm assuming that the market kind of took care of itself a little bit, and people didn't feel like they were getting the service, they went to somebody else. So unless you guys have an issue, I don't have an issue with going to the 18th, and hopefully they get back to their normal routine, and we kind of keep moving. If something does come up, I'll make you guys aware.
They did send out a letter, so I used them, and I got a letter, there's a little calendar on it showing which weeks they're picking up trash.
Yeah, that's the same letter you guys had in your packet. That's all.
All right. Questions for Mike? Okay, Chief.
Good morning. Just 2 updates. First, with the firearms purchase tomorrow, the representative is coming out and meeting with Corporal Walsh and 2 other officers to review which model we think. We did run into a little bit of an issue. Corporal Walsh came in my office and said that he realized that they do not make .40 caliber holsters that have the ability to have the sights on them to hold the gun. So he did some more checking and on, and we're going to be, if this comes about, we're going to be switching to 9mm from 40, and the ammo issue will be handled with trade. So there's no problem there. We won't be losing any money or anything like that. They make the .40 caliber gun. They make obviously the ammo, obviously the sight, but no holster. So it's kind of important for us. So that's why we'll go to 9mm.
9mm, 7 shot or 15?
15.
14 and 1.
I think so. Yes.
That way the old holsters will be used, or?
No, we'll have to get new holsters, but they don't manufacture .40 caliber. They only manufacture 9.
Okay, got it.
And the other thing is we have 3 compacts. Now I carry one, detective carries the other. At this point, we will be switching to a different style, not as compact, but it's for the purpose of if an issue would come up where I would be with officers and I would need another magazine of ammunition, I can use their magazine instead of a slim model that wouldn't fit my gun. Kind of pointless. So all that's being worked on and taken care of. They're going to be at the range tomorrow for a while, looking, inspecting, shooting, and doing that thing, and coming back with their opinion. The other thing is the data pilot, the device for cell phones. We received that end of last week. Training happened on Tuesday afternoon, and it was used yesterday afternoon for a case. it's,
What was the preliminary feedback on that initial use? They were,
oh, they said it worked. They got exactly what they needed off of it, and the person got the phone right back.
good.
They did it while they were there, so
Wow.
it's so far a success. So that's all I have today.
In your past experience, how often does that get used? Would it be like a weekly event where things come up? I know it comes and goes.
No, I would say it's, I can't answer that specifically, but I'll probably come back at some point and say, yeah, we used it 20 times this month and didn't use it this month. It's just kind of
Goes in cycles, yeah.
So
Okay.
it all depends, but
You hope it's never used.
I hope it's never used, but that's not the case, so
Yeah.
it'll be used.
I was, we had a residential burglary in the street that I live, and part of that, they took a vehicle, and the vehicle's been recovered, and what I'll call the bad guys have been arrested. So,
Thank you.
pass along my
I will.
Any questions for the chief? Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Right, so the financial administration, administrator's report, the zoning officer's report, and the roadmaster's report will be presented at the next meeting. And then Ken, any additional comments for MS4?
Yes, we submitted our MS4 annual report to DEP. That was successfully completed. And the other things going on now, we did receive the shipment of additional shrubs that are going to be planted in the riparian buffer. We had assistance in drilling holes to put them in, so we don't actually have to dig the holes ourselves. And I'm going to be starting probably this afternoon planting the shrubs into the riparian buffer adjacent to the township building.
How many holes are drilled?
60.
60.
About 3 hours worth, Craig.
Just, no, you know, the good and the bad, so the good should be reported as well. And the good is that Jeff, with his own equipment, drilled those 60 holes, did not charge any equipment cost, did not charge any fuel cost, did not charge any personnel time charge, and 60 holes by hand, you'd have to sell an awful lot of worms to make up for the man hours involved. So, thank you for your...
Well, and as a shout out to the roadmaster, Brett, he came out on short notice with a weed eater. You know, the part of a riparian buffer is to let everything grow, and the grass was extremely long, and the auger was not getting through it at all. So Brett came out with a weed eater and scalped little spots there where we were to drill the holes, and it made it go just a whole lot better, right, Ken?
Yes.
So yeah, thank you to Brett on that. He did a nice job responding quickly. So it might have been an all-day job for us, or all evening, had it not been for him. So.
So, treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report.
Yep.
Okay, we have a general fund total of $257,718.94. Is there any questions on the bills as presented? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. Motion carries.
And we also have a payroll total for the period of September 12th to the 25th of $74,255.89. So,
Motion to approve.
it's been paid, sir.
There's a
Just a question, Jeff.
Yes.
Try and answer.
internal revenue service, that's like 38% of that seems awful high, is that correct?
Quarterly payments.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
We can, I think Judy's in the building and we can get that.
That's all right, it just
After
seems
the
awful high.
After the meeting,
Yeah,
if you'd like.
thank you.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries.
That is the report.
Treasurers. Okay, old business, continued business, I do not have anything, John. Like,
No.
okay. New business informational.
Ken, maybe we should just talk briefly a little bit about the Turnpike PennDOT looking for stream bank restoration.
Yes, we were contacted by a company that's RES, it's actually a fairly large national company. They were interested in finding places in the township that were within a mile of the turnpike that they could do stream bank restoration on, because they're working for PennDOT and the Turnpike Commission on MS4 credit, and they're under contract to reduce 1.5 million pounds of sediment, which is quite a bit, obviously. And they're looking for sites, and we don't know the terms yet, but it's possible that we could be able to participate in that, and there would both be some cost to us, but also some sediment reduction credits that would come out of that. So I went around with the representative, and we looked at a number of different streams for possible sites. And that was just last week, and so we don't have details yet.
Right.
And I don't have any information on the financial arrangements, how much it would end up costing us. If we don't participate in this, there's still no reason why they can't simply come and contract with a landowner somewhere to do that and make improvements in a stream.
Don't
Go ahead.
Don't they have to get at least some kind of permit or whatever to?
Yeah, they would need a,
Oh, yeah.
probably come under a building permit to do something like that. So yeah, we would have to approve it.
At this point, they're just looking at various locations to see about availability. It's very, very preliminary. There's nothing, no talks with landowners that I'm aware of, but they're trying to find target locations. You know, Ken reached out to me, and we were, you know, I made a contact with a local farm owner that would qualify. Don't know if it'll ever come to fruition, but you know, we're trying to help them in that process.
So where's the benefit for East Cocalico?
If we participate in this, we may get sediment reduction credits from it. And if we get sediment reduction credits from a stream bank project, something structural, that's a long-term thing. We get that much credit year after year, as opposed to the agricultural credit, which we pay a fee every year to get it. And so there's more upfront cost, far more upfront cost on that, but it's a one-shot deal rather than an annual payment thing.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking that question is because you're now going to take time and effort and bandwidth to talk to PennDOT over this item. And I don't think we're charging them for it.
We're not.
And we're not going to be reimbursed for that time,
Correct.
But that's why I'm asking.
But there is an option for us to get into it with them. You know, it's to be determined.
The reason for doing it is that there is that potential. I don't know the details or how much there is, but it seemed like there was a potential benefit to the township in doing that. I did spend pretty much an entire day on that, the 5 hours of township time, and then a few more in the afternoon in my own time.
No, that's my point. That's why I'm asking where the ROI
Right.
is for the township.
Right, if the return on investment for the township is based on a $5,000 investment, that's one thing. If the ROI is based on a $100,000 investment, that's another thing.
Correct.
Correct, correct. It's, I think it's just helping PennDOT out a little bit. I would not approve of any extensive time in that. They've got personnel to do it. They're just trying to locate properties at this point.
The other potential value in this is that in the future, if we're looking for more stream bank projects, we've already looked at some of them and have some new ideas on different places we can do this, because our current MS4 permit cycle ends in March of 2023, and starting at that time, we're going to have a whole new requirement for reducing something, and next time around, it might not just be sediment, it could also be nitrogen and phosphorus, which stream bank projects don't help with. Agricultural stuff does much more in that direction. So again, it's looking towards the future.
Yeah, I'd probably spend an hour and a half of my time on that as well, with a contact and talking to them. But it's extremely preliminary.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Public comment for non-agenda items, please state your names clearly. Again, it just helps Lisa with the meeting minutes. Helps us with the meeting minutes.
My name is Howard Null, N-U-L-L. I live 605 Mones Hill Road, Reinholds. It's a dead-end road off of 897. I lived back there 43 years. The road's probably 38 years old. It has seen its better days, believe me. There's sinkholes. The road, there's no flat section of that road back there anymore. It's crowned. I know talking to the road guys, they said, well, if it was flatter, make it easier for them to plow snow. You have to, some sections you really have to be careful driving out. I have a low profile car. I have to take it really easy. The intersection out by 897, there's a pond out there. Phil has a pond. There's drainage off there, but there's a spring that runs all the time. You can go out there right now. It's ponding all out in that area there. So in 2 months, we're going to have winter. You know, you're going to come off of 897. Somebody's going to turn there and slide that up.
In your opinion, does the gutter, the road edge, the gutter just need to be cleaned out?
Yeah,
or-
there's a drain there, and it's so grown in with weeds and stuff. It's not, the spring water isn't getting there.
Okay.
And I guess the way the mailman comes in, there's a post office or a mailbox on the other side of the road. He cuts in there. He has created a dip there, so the water just ponds.
Doesn't run where it should.
But there's several sections of road, there's no shoulders. You just have, and with the rains, the erosion, what we got this past year, the road edges are sharp. You know, the school buses come through. You really have to get over, you know, and somebody's gonna slice a tire back there. I'm just asking if the town should consider doing some improvements to the road back there. It's my request.
Yeah, I know that there was a stormwater event, perhaps further back. What was your number on?
605.
Okay, back in that area, a lot of water.
The road is from 897 to the county lines, a mile
Yeah.
and 6/10. I'm a mile and 3/10. I'm not to the end, but almost.
There was a lot of water coming off of Mones Hill
Oh,
up
yeah.
there through the woods, and I know the crew was back there. I don't know whether it was early in the spring or last winter, doing some work around a few drains there. I guess there was a storm where the water just overflowed the road there
Well,
to one or two of the homes.
so paved, it was a stone driveway, he paved it. He didn't put a culvert in or anything. What it does is deflects the water right out into the township road.
Yeah. You know, I know that the crew has handled that, some of those issues in the past, and obviously there's some more, so.
Yeah, take a trip up and maybe after the meeting, if I get your number, and then we'll take a trip up, you can show us exactly what we're looking at, and come back with some ideas.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
and thank you.
Sure.
thank you. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Doug Mackley again. Hey, just some things that I seem to have fallen off the radar, at least they haven't been talked about lately, and it all has to do with drainage issues. I just talked about some on Mones Hill Road. There was a project that was supposed to be done across the street here at the bottom of Cherry Place Properties there, across from Heatherwood. Install a box culvert and then pipe that water either under the road or whatever. I haven't heard anything on that. Just wondering what's going on there. That's one of the issues. Another one would be out at the old home, or the homestead development where the drop off at the box culverts along North Muddy Creek Road. I know you had snow fence up there, and I know it was talked about putting fencing, get Agway to do that.
It's ordered.
It's ordered, but it's okay, so it probably gets done this year yet before the snow flies, or what?
What's the prognosis there?
Yeah, that's the goal is to get it done as soon as that comes in, so we should, I'm expecting we're by this year.
Hopefully it's not a container out in LA somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, another issue would be the drainage along Denver Road behind Horse Signs, where all those culverts come together. I know in heavy rains, the water runs across that road, which means in the wintertime, that's how he indicated out on Moons Hill, that's an ice problem out there, you know. None of this has been discussed for months in any of the meetings, and hopefully it hasn't been forgotten about, you know, because it needs to be taken care of. And I'm going to look at Ken. You guys had those lick and stick metal emblems that you were going to put on the box culverts. Did you ever do that, or?
It's been started. There are something like 600 that need to be done, so it's going to be a while till they're all put out.
Okay, well, like I said, see, you know, you don't keep the public informed, and I'm just going back through my notes, and I'm thinking, you got these issues with drainage, and we're talking MS4, so that's all, they all tie together. So, appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. The next supervisors meeting will be on Thursday, October 21st at 7 p.m. In person here and via live Zoom. Okay. We have no executive session items unless you guys have something.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, with the follow-up from the interviews.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Can do that. Right, so we do not plan on making a decision, obviously.
Right.
So we can adjourn.
Right.
Right, and then we just want the executive session afterwards.
You do it here.
Yeah, we can do it here so we don't tie everybody's time up. Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, and I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you, everyone. Yes, sir.
Recording stopped. Comment on morning meetings, playing after 10. 7 a.m. meetings. I've also heard people criticize them as designed to keep people away. So, away from